Hi there, I'm Dom from Sony Mobile and I'm joined again by Bill from Sony Digital Imaging. We've already gone through some of the great camera tech that's in the Sony Xperia Z1, but none of that camera tech will really count for anything if you can't actually take a really good picture. So Bill's going to take us through some techniques and tips of how to get a great picture. So Bill, I've heard about this thing called the rule of thirds. What is it and why is it important?
Okay, it's a really simple technique to get you to take a better picture. I'm going to show you this picture here, which is a picture of my children and a landscape in Spain. Normal tendency is when you pick up your camera and point it at someone is to put them in the centre of the frame, just like we do when we're looking at a newscaster. That doesn't get you the best and most interesting atmospheric shot. If I show you how the rule of thirds works with this photograph, for example, what I've done is I've set the children in the right-hand third of the frame, so you've got the space at which they're overlooking to see as well. They're not blocking out the view that they're actually looking at. Also, if you look at the rule of thirds vertically here, it works very clearly. You've got the water in the bottom, the landscape in the middle, and the sky in the top third as well.
So can that also work for portrait pictures as well?
Absolutely. If we look at exactly the same scenario, my daughter's left the scene, but my son is still here. And again, if you look at how the rule of thirds works on this, it's about the shapes that you put in the frame. As you see in the bottom third, I've incorporated the steps so they fill a third of the frame and you get the nice sweep and curve there, which again extends up to the middle section with the water and the reflection in it. Once again, you've got the top section, and instead of putting my son in the middle where he'll just take the eye immediately, you put him on the right hand side of the frame, so again you can see the landscape that he's looking out onto as well.
Right. So I hear that the Sony Xperia Z1 has got a focal value of 2.0, so I'm led to believe that's quite good, but why is that good?
A very wide aperture gives you a very professional looking shot, much like you're used to seeing in newspapers, in film magazines and that kind of thing. And here's a good example of it. What I've done is it's just a candle that's sitting on a windowsill, and the wide aperture gives you what you call a very narrow depth of field. So rather than this entire scene being in focus, the whole wide area, a wide aperture actually narrows down and gives you a very small area that's in focus. If you look at the front of the candle here, you can see the rim of the steel is sharp, but the flame is soft. So is the reflections in the glass here. And it gives a very atmospheric effect for something that is really relatively straightforward. Once again, you use the rule of thirds and you've got the band of light here at the back that takes up the top third while it's still dark and the only light is here below.
And can that work when you're taking pictures of people as well?
Yeah, it works particularly well with people because it gives you emphasis. Here we've got a singer in a band, and what you can see is that she's pulled in very sharply in focus around the face and the hands, which is the most important part of the frame. You can see that she's part of a band because they're in the background, but because they are not the focus of the shot, they're defocused. Again, the rule of thirds applies here, and as you see, she dominates the whole frame by taking up 2/3 of it, so she's the central focus of your attention.
Brilliant. So what about lighting in a shot? How can I get the best image out of that?
The manual setting on the Z1 has an EV setting, which stands for?
Exposure value.
Exposure value, exactly right. And with exposure value, what you can do is make your landscape or any shots look more atmospheric by controlling the light that you see in the frame. For example, you'd normally just point your light at this and the buildings would be perfectly exposed. However, by changing the
exposure value.
Well done, sir. You can actually darken the buildings and you emphasise the silhouette and thus get a much more atmospheric shot. You can still see their buildings, but you see layers of mountains going into the background, and with the soft light it gives it a much more romantic appeal.
Right, okay. So now I've got all the camera tech that I need in Sony Z1, and now I've got all the camera tips that I need from Bill. I best go get practicing. So I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you next time.